promise you're going to like it here. Now, if you prefer to catch your podcasts on the go, search the Bakery Podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and hit the follow button to never miss an upload. Without further ado, let's get into today's show. Live. Good evening, guys. Today I'm joined by COD Veteran, Dallas Empire head coach and general manager, Ramboray. How are you, bro?
Good, man. Good. It's good to be here. I've heard a lot of people been on this podcast, and you seem like a chill dude, so let's get this going. Why not?
I'm grateful. Seriously. Yeah, I try to be chill. I just, talk my mind, and I like to speak about COD, so... And plus,
I love speaking about COD. Yeah. I've been doing COD for 11 years now, so...
not to mention, I'm 26 this year, so most people I'm speaking to so far, I've watched for years, so I don't know, it's just good for me, especially the likes of yourself and Clayster, for example. You guys are people that I watched 8 years ago, 9 years ago in my mum's living room, so
yeah, most people are in diapers. Right now it's kind of crazy, all the youth, crap, I have 2 18-year-olds on my team, and these kids were 8, 9 years old when I first started competing, which is, it's wild to think about.
I can imagine. So I've got a bit of an icebreaker for you. It's the same question I ask absolutely everybody, and all I want to know is, what are your top 5 potato chip flavors?
The most underrated one that most people don't know about is ketchup. I don't know if you guys have those in the UK. Yes. But I'm from Canada. Ketchup potato chips are amazing.
We've got quite a few out here. We've got quite a few.
I'm not crazy. I will never go anything vinegary. I'm not into that. I'll like a good Dorito nacho spicy. I'll go a nice salty, or it was a salt and pepper kettle chip.
Yeah.
I love what's it called, the Cheetos, the tiny ones, the small Cheetos, the crunchy Cheetos.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because they're chip, but that's amazing. Even though I can't really eat those that much because I'm lactose. But I think that's 4. Let's see, one more. I don't know. What's something that's underrated?
You don't have to give 5.
I guess Pringles. I ate a lot of Pringles growing up, even though apparently they're absolutely terrible for you. Pringles are pretty good.
No, I agree. Interestingly enough, that might be, you might have just given me the best non-Europe list yet. No, for real. Yeah.
I honestly don't know the brands you guys. I'm assuming you guys have Lay's and some generic stuff.
Well, so Lay's over here are just called Walkers, right? It's this complete same brand, same parent brand, everything, but they're just called Walkers in the UK. But yeah, they're exactly the same. But a lot of the people that I've had on that are NA based always say the same thing. It's jalapeno kettle chips. That's all they ever say.
Really?
Yeah, every time. Clay said it, Brian Saint said it. I'm trying to think who else.
I don't think I've ever had a jalapeno chip, so maybe I'm missing out.
Yeah, maybe. I think I am too, because I've never had one either, sadly. I don't think we do them over here, but yeah. When you said tomato flavoured, ketchup, we've got Snaps. There's a Snaps. It's like a small brand, a small bag brand. You can get them pretty cheap in local convenience stores. But they are fucking incredible.
Yeah. Ketchup chips for whatever reason. A lot of people dip their fries in ketchup, so why not put it on a potato chip,
Yeah, I agree. So I just want to get into a little of Raymond, your early years, what kind of got you into gaming?
Yeah, so I started playing video games when I was a toddler. My grandma's actually the person that got me into video games, unlike most people. And we're talking I was 4 or 5 years old. She had the NES, which is the Nintendo Entertainment System, the old one where you had to blow in the cartridge to shove it in the thing to make sure it worked every time. And I played mostly sports games and Mario and the sports games back then were not what they are today. But yeah, she got me into it. And then as I grew older, my parents kept getting me these new consoles when it came out. It was my way of having fun at home. And I was active in sports. I was doing okay in school, so it's just they let me play video games. So I think I was 15 years old, skipping to 15 years old when I first got a PlayStation 2 that had the online adapter in the back of it.
Yeah.
This is back then when online gaming is basically brand new, at least for console.
Yeah.
So I just decided you know what? I see my Ethernet cord that's going to my modem. Let me plug it into my console and see what goes. And yeah, I got exposed to this whole new world. I got this. I went to rent this game called Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
Which is derived off the movie, but it was actually segmenting to Call of Duty, but it's actually basically Call of Duty before Call of Duty. All the mechanics, jump shotting, drop shotting, all the stuff you can think about in a Call of Duty game was in that game. And it's almost crazy because I was preparing for my Call of Duty career even before I knew it.
Wow.
But yeah, I started playing online. I got into lobbies and I started joining these lobbies where people were kicking me out. I was like, why are they kicking me out? They're like, no, Mike, So I went to GameStop and bought a microphone, and holy shit, the whole world, game battles. That's where I found out about that. I met a bunch of people, like gaming people that I still know to this day. Yeah, it's wild how kind of it grew to that. And then, that's kind of story goes on, game battles into MLG and so on and so forth.
Simpler times back in public
lobbies.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Those old public lobbies. They were the most toxic thing in the world, but they were the funniest thing in the world, right? There was nothing better. So which title kind of introduced you into COD as a franchise?
So one of my buddies, I was in high school at the time, and they had the Call of Duty 4, the Modern Warfare had a beta, and I heard about it, and I can't remember how I got a code. I think it was my buddies gave me one, but he's like, hey, you should come play this with me. So I was like, yeah, fuck it, because I mean I played before that I played Halo and like Rainbow Six a little bit. I think the first Rainbow Six Vegas when that came out, and my buddies like got me into Call of Duty. I was like, okay, let's try this, and I played it. I got hooked immediately because I mean again like. It was exactly the game that I played and I enjoyed playing for like 3 or 4 years, which was Black Hawk Down. So like, this is awesome. And then once the game actually came out, I heard about all the competitive stuff, and game battles was actually on this game too. So I got on competing, and then the craziest part about this all is that a month into the game release, I ran into Big Timer, and Big Timer played Black Hawk Down and Battlefield 2 on PS2. And we knew each other because we used to play against each other. We never played with each other.
Yeah.
But I was like, wait a second, you're that guy. I played against you in the past. And we started talking. We're like, yeah, and that's kind of how we hit it off. And
wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. What was it that was so enjoyable about COD? Like, what was it that just kind of hooked you with COD 4?
I think it's really the pace. Like, the pace and the simplicity of the game made it to where, like, it was more about, like, I love the mental aspect of anything in life. Like, I have done competitive sports, like bowling's probably the main one. I love golfing.
Yeah.
And I just like all these things have attributes that just make it to where like in your head, you have to make good decisions more so than like there is skill involved. You still have to be skillful, but that part of it wasn't really kind of like the part that stuck out, at least at a high level.
Yeah.
So whenever I started playing competitive Call of Duty, is like immediately it came like instinctively to me how to be better than other people without shooting my gun. Like I was all right skill-wise at the time, not like I am anymore, but like it was really just about like playing chess while I'm playing a video game. To me was really the cool aspect. And most people played Search and Destroy back then too, which was kind of like a cool mode. And I've watched Counter-Strike in my past, so it was kind of like something I related to really quickly as well. So it was just the arcade-ish feel of the game. Like it was like serious, but not too serious.
Yeah. And
just kind of like the accessibility of the game and just being able to play all these competitive matches quickly on a game where you could play with your buddies was just kind of like the game for me at the time. That obviously transpired into something bigger.
Yeah, I've got you. I mean, obviously the name Rambo, I'm assuming this came from the movie, right?
Yeah. So, funny story. My first ever tag that I put when I signed on to my PS2 online was Rambo Unit, one word, so Ramboonit. And I don't physically remember why I chose Rambo, but I was listening. I can't remember. I think my buddies just lent me his like Eminem /D12, it was like an album they released, and there was like G Unit.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I watched a Rambo movie, and I was like all my buddies were like G Unit. I was like, all right, Rambo Unit is my word, but I didn't know you could put like dashes and spaces, so it just ended up being like Ramboonit, and people kept calling me that. I was like, why not do this Rambo Unit? Yeah.
I thought there was going to be like some like intricate qualities with scenes or like things that resonated with you from the movie, but no, it's pretty simple, I guess.
No, it is. It's almost simpler than it seems with gamer tags, I think.
Yeah. I mean, talking of COD, when did you kind of start to realize your own potential within COD? You know, that you could maybe make this into something more than a competitive hobby.
It's interesting because it all kind of fell onto my lap. I never really. I mean, this is one thing I'll say about. I'll answer your question more specifically after I kind of segment, but like people see video games and like how to become a professional. Everyone asks the question, how do I become a professional gamer? It's just like, it's really just like sports. Like you're a kid, you play baseball and you're like, oh, baseball is great. I'm all right at it. Maybe I'll get good someday. I aspire to be professional, but it's never like something I think I'm going to do unless I get close to it, right?
Yeah.
Video games is the same thing. Like I was just playing and I saw this, like we're competing in these GB matches for free online. There's nothing really at stake. Like we're just having fun. We're playing for these imaginary XP points online just so we're at the top ladder. It's all for pride, right?
Yeah.
And then it just so happened that they happened to have online tournaments for money. I was like, okay, well, let's try this. Who knows? Like maybe I get some out of it. And then you start making a little coin. You're like, okay, well, and then they announce these more bigger tournaments and then so on and so forth. It kind of snowballs into something. And then because I was on some pretty successful game battles teams, and we were winning a lot of our matches. It was like maybe I am kind of one of the better players in this game, and it's never something I really like. Oh yeah, I want to be a pro gamer. Like not at all. Like I don't think anyone really feels that way. Unless they're just born into it, and it's what like they do for their entire life. But
I suppose it's a change in the times as well, right? Because I mean, back then, I suppose the whole professional gamer career was never such an easy path to chase, or never such a in the spotlight path to chase as it is now. So I suppose it wasn't so much of a viable option in your mind.
Well, the money was not anything what it is now. Funny. All right, here's a story as well. I'll shoot you all the stories I got. 2009 national championship, my first ever tournament competing. Top prize was $8K for the team if you win the tournament. I lived in Montreal at the time, and flying is not cheap. And they literally announced the tournament 5 weeks before, or it's like 4 or 5 weeks before it happened.
So it was an expensive flight. Yeah.
My flight to Anaheim was $930 Canadian. Literally. I won that tournament, but I'm Canadian. So it was like gaming was considered gambling at the time, which is still kind of is. So I paid 30% at the border. I paid 9% California tax. So I show up home. I won the tournament. My first ever tournament, mind you. I get a check in the mail for $1,230, and I just spent $930 on my flight alone. Thank God, Ego was a 360 Icon sponsor, paid for a hotel.
Yeah.
So after my taxi rides and my personal food and my expenses, I basically broke even, winning my first ever.
Wow.
Which is insane when you think about how big it is now.
That is a good story. Taking your kind of history into consideration, right? I mean, you used to bowl for Canada's youth team. Would you say you always had a passion to kind of excel at whatever you put your mind to?
100%. I am one of the most competitive human beings you'll ever come across. I don't care if we're playing ping pong, bocce ball, we're jumping off on a sidewalk to another sidewalk. Like I thrive in being good at things that I enjoy and I want to be good at. Like don't get me wrong. Like if there's something I don't really like and someone's like, "Oh, come beat me at this," I'm like,
Yeah.
No, I'm not that interested. But like, there's so many like small I get this a decent amount, which is not trying to be egoistical, but like people say I'm like good at everything, which is not true. There's plenty of things that I suck at, trust me. But like there's so many weird things that I'm just really good at. Like it's crazy to be honest.
No, I can imagine. So I'm gonna try and hit you with your first bit of Rambo trivia. Okay, so just let you know, I've sprinkled little bits of trivia throughout, along with kind of testing your knowledge of the team toward the end as well. But we'll wait till we get there.
What to my team?
Yeah.
Oh, so, I mean, that might be tough.
So, just to let you know, so far, not a single guest has been able to get all of their trivia correct, okay?
I don't think I'll be the first one.
So, in 2013, yourself, Stainville, JCap, and Proof put on an impressive display to finish second at COD Champs on Black Ops 2, right?
That one. You have to talk about that one, huh?
Do you remember the name of the team that you beat 3-0 in your first game in the winners bracket?
In the winners bracket, holy shit! Dude, no, there's no. Wait one second. I gotta try to remember this.
I mean,
who did we play?
Just let you know, I'll give you brownie points if you can remember any of the players' names on the roster.
I mean, we played Fear in the winners semis. We played Farico in winners finals.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
So there had to be 2 matches before that. God. I honestly, dude, there's no way I'm gonna. My brain, that's literally one event that's like that I remember the least about because I forced myself not to remember it. Like I have never cried losing anything in my life. That is the only time where I shed tears losing.
Yeah.
That one hurt like bad. Wow. Like we were literally like, I mean, dude, oh man, this just kills me how you talk about it. You make me cry on the stream. Honestly, I don't think there's any way I'm getting this right. Like honestly.
Yeah. That's a clear insight into just how passionate you are about winning too, because it even pains you now, years on, to speak about it.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just how we lost was just a killer, dude.
I can give you a clue. I can give you a pretty easy clue. Okay. This is the clue. I don't need to say anything.
That's the clue. Is you stand that way? Is there something on your shirt that I didn't see?
No.
You're just standing up, big guy. Okay, tall.
You're looking at way too much.
Yeah, dude, I can't. No, I can't.
Okay. The team's name was Stand. The Stand.
Man, who's on that team? Who are the players?
Alan, Paralyzed, Nuvu, and Rely.
I honestly don't remember any of those guys. There's zero chance that I would have got that.
See, I like to make the trivia difficult. Good.
You need to have JCap on this podcast, and you need to ask him that same question.
Yeah, I want it. We'll make it happen. So, when did COD kind of begin to spread its wings in terms of esports? I mean, what was the first event that you were wowed at when you saw it? Did you ever have a belief that it would be the foundation of what competitive COD has become today?
You know, we had a few really good events. I mean, like Black Ops 2 was definitely like the booming kind of game from a competitive playing standpoint. The game was just so much fun to play and so enjoyable to watch. There's like a lot of new things that kind of had like score streaks started there, hardpoint started there.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a peak, not a peak, but like a height in growth in players and amount of like talent there was. So like you saw a lot of good teams that were able to compete at the highest level. And the game kind of changed. The pace of the game changed for better to be a little faster.
Yeah.
Not saying that I think it's a little too fast the way it is now, but back then was kind of like before that it was very slow, very methodical. That was probably the first game from a viewership standpoint. I was just like, yeah, this is sick. Like this is fun. It was like the right amount of like I can follow this, but also it's not boring. So as far as like pace of play, but yeah, go for it.
When would you say kind of the biggest jump was title wise? I mean, when would you say you went from kind of a mild amount of viewership to holy shit, like the COD scene seemed to blow open?
I mean, that was for sure Black Ops 2. I think Black Ops 2 is definitely the game that I remember just viewership being extremely like higher compared, because we came off what Black Ops 1 was all right. Like we had some growth there because that was the first year we were with MLG, and we had like 6 LAN events, so that was kind of cool. Then it went to Modern Warfare 3 where there was like absolutely nothing to play for. We had to travel to UK to play 3 tournaments, which interestingly enough, like the first tournament, the EGL 5 event, we went to UK had like 97 teams.
Wow.
And that's insane. Like that was I'm pretty sure that was like the biggest Call of Duty LAN event to that moment.
Yeah.
I mean, passing like the MLG stuff, the Black Ops 1 tournaments, at least outside like at the time, which was pretty big, but I don't remember viewership being anything incredible.
I'm pretty sure a friend of mine would have been at that event. I don't know.
Probably. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
That was the fun event for us.
I don't know if you remember his name, Excellency.
Oh, hell yeah. Nick Word, baby. Yeah. I love that guy. Nick Word's my homie. I love me some Nick Word. Shout out to the band.
That's a good friend.
I love that guy. Yeah. He's got, dude, he's literally, what's the movie? The vampire movie? He looks like Edward from that movie.
Twilight.
Like 100% Edward. Literally, like that's like the first thing. Every time I see him, I'm like, dude, you're that guy.
Oh, wow.
I love that guy, man. He's a good guy.
Over the years, right, the one thing for me that it's very clear, over the years, the prize money has increased, the social media presence has massively increased. But do you feel the level of competition in earlier titles was more driven by a competitive nature as opposed to securing the bag? I mean, with the consideration, obviously, that there was a lot less to play for then versus now, and a lot of players now do a lot of talking about the money that's up for grabs, but not a lot of people talk about the prestige of owning a ring anymore.
Yeah, that's a tough question, right? Like it's interesting to talk about because like if, for example, like Black Ops 2, like at the time we were being like the winning team at Champs was paid $100K each, which for us at the time is like fucking we're rich. Let's go, baby. Yeah. We're getting steak tonight. All right. But I mean, yeah, the perspective of how things have changed a little bit. Hold on one second. Go ahead, Bubba. Dog, get out. He's stuck.
No problem.
But yeah, no, it's interesting. I feel like there's a separation in some part of the community at that point. I feel like some players still very much care about winning. The money is like a supplement to everything. And I'm like, nobody's really going to kind of turn their heads on the money, right? Like the money's great. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the guys are still like winning, just like that's kind of how they're driven. I feel like a lot of older guys, and I feel like some of the new guys too are very much kind of like the money's just, it doesn't really matter to them. Like I'll point out a player like on my team, like Shotzi, for example, like, sure, the money's great and all, but like this kid just loves to compete and play. Like he shows up, he's on time every day, shows up to scrim, like he lives for this shit. Like he would play tens every single day from like fucking 9 to 5 if he had to get better at what he's doing. Like he enjoys his craft. And to those guys, like if the money's great and it helps them obviously survive and grow to a better amount, but like I can just tell like some of those guys are just not worried about it. Like it's just something that they're accumulating and it's great, but like they don't necessarily care. But I mean, to the contrary, there are still I feel like some of the older players are probably like more looking out to really get something out of this and trying to maintain themselves to be in the community for as long as they can.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't really point out that. It's just a feeling I get from some of the players.
Yeah.
None of the players on my team. I can tell you Crim6 and Clayster still love winning as shit, and they get hella mad when they lose. So.
Yeah, I know. Clay said the exact words when he was on here, how much he still gets super down when he loses. And, it can take him a whole week to kind of get over it.
And what scares me is, like, I feel like some of the newcomers may be in that capacity. Like I hear so many stories about professional athletes to go into, like, they go play in college and shit, and they're like, oh, let me get a big contract. And, like, they push really hard, and then they get there, and it's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be hard to do that for video games because there's so many people that are trying to get to that point. So that if you're not on if you're not on the horse when it's running and you fall off, you're not getting back on.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very, like, especially the way it is now. It's not like when I first started competing when you had like a few chances. If you show up to the big times, the big leagues, and you don't perform quickly, man, you're going to be out in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get back in.
I get it. I mean, being one of the most veteran players, which you are, what have been the biggest changes that you've noticed in both, in player behavior, both kind of in and out of the game compared to when you competed?
Like, what do you mean by player behavior? Like, be a little more specific.
I mean, obviously, I think social media has had a huge kind of effect on personality traits and the way people are within the community. And I just think back then, was it a lot more less talk, more game, whereas now it's a lot more talky shit and kind of try and back it up?
I feel like it's the opposite. Really? I thought people talk way more crap back in the day than they do now. Everyone's scared to hurt each other's feelings now. It feels like, and it's almost like, again, because people are so scared to like piss each other off, and if like I need a team at some point or I want to play with these guys and I can't be on their down list, right? Like back in the day, it wasn't like that. Like I'm gonna play who I want to play with. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like the crap talking has definitely gotten a lot less than it was.
Yeah.
Although you still see it. Like, I mean, I love shit talking. Like, I think it's stupid for anyone to take any kind of crap talk personal at a level of like when you're competing.
Yeah.
Like unless you're really getting personal, like you're calling someone by their appearance or like, oh, your nose is messed up. Oh, yeah, your mom's a hoe. Like that kind of crap. Like, yeah, sure, okay, take that personal. But like, oh, you got shit on. Take it.
Yeah,
you suck. Like that's, to me, that's just like, that's cool. Like that's exciting. Like that drives my competitive aspect, and it should drive yours too, because you don't want me talking like that to you.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I feel like the social aspect of it was still pretty big back in the day. Like I mean, I got like 240,000 Twitter followers, and I have been out of the scene. My Twitter follower count has not moved in like 7 years.
Yeah.
So it's not like this just started yesterday. Sure, it's gotten bigger. If anything has changed in behavior, it's people are taking things more seriously and are being more professional about things.
Yeah.
Like back then, people just had no filters, would just literally say the first thing that came out of their mouth, and like would type out a tweet, like, you know what, fuck it, enter. And it's like now they probably type it out like 10 times, like, you think I'm gonna piss anyone off with this? Yeah, maybe not. Just backstab.
Right, I do that all the time. I do that myself. I'll type a tweet and I'll be like. And then I'll be like in Discord and I'll be like, do you think I should post this? He's like, nah. I'm like, okay, I won't post that.
Like the biggest shit talk you see now is people posting memes and GIFs about shit. It. Yeah. And it just lets you insinuate in your brain what they're trying to really say,
Yeah, it's really funny you say that, because like I'll try, obviously, like a segment of this podcast is where I go through kind of team trivia, especially for coaches, and like I search like tweets from guys on the roster and try and find some really funny old stuff. And it's literally impossible. Like I have to go into the very, very crevices of their history to find it, because everything has just been completely washed away.
Right.
Which is expected, I suppose.
Right.
I mean, speaking on kind of player behaviours, when you were competing, it felt like you, as a player yourself, you never lost composure from a viewer perspective. Whereas some players would let their emotions or nerves get the better of them. And I think maybe this is because they're so immersed in the moment, worried to make a misplay, whiff a shot and so on. But you always gave off the impression that you were kind of fully present, which perhaps helped you excel in quick thinking and becoming ultimately one of the finest strategic minds that we've seen in COD. Was this the case, or were you very good at kind of displaying a calm meta shell?
I mean, I feel like emotion, like there's a certain level of emotion you need to have when you compete in anything. Yeah. If you go too high, it brings you down. If you go too low, it brings you down. Like you have to find that kind of medium threshold. And there's like specific moments in time when you're competing where you can go a little higher, and it'll help your kind of adrenaline levels kind of get to a point.
Yeah.
This sounds crazy, but like pro gamers are junkies.
Yeah.
Like if you play video games for a living, you enjoy the rush that you're getting.
Yeah.
Like everyone sees like, oh, these guys are under so much pressure playing for so much money. Like, and the both times that I played at champs, like I probably performed the best besides the first map of Ghost Finals. I probably performed the best that I've ever performed in a finals, like in the final. Like the Black Ops 2 tournament was probably the best I played in the entire Black Ops 2 game in the finals, because it's a moment in time where you reach that level of confidence and that strength in like your inner emotional state that really kind of reach and peaks your game to a new level. And you're so focused and so into the moment that like everything around you and things that may bother you otherwise probably don't.
Yeah.
So like, I was always kind of like calm, cool, collected, I guess.
Yeah.
I have my moments when I shit talk. There's plenty of videos that show me kind of crap talking. I mostly did it after the games because I feel like that's the best moment to crap talk because they can't do shit about it.
Yeah.
If you talk in the middle of the game and they come back on you, you look real dumb.
Yeah.
And there's a few instances of that are online.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was like, I had such a big role for the teams I was on the communication front and really kind of, like you said, the intellectual part of the game and strategy that I couldn't afford to kind of lose track of everything going on and like lose my emotional state and just kind of be outspoken and kind of, I don't know, get things rattled up. Like I had to, my roles on the team and where my team gained from my performance and my play was really my ability to coordinate what was going on to make sure that we're all on the same page and we're doing what should be done to achieve what we're.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question specifically.
No, it does. That's awesome. Moving on to part 2 of Rambo Trivia. Okay. So let's see if you can fare a little better here. So in 2014...
If the first one was easy, this one's not good. This is not good. You started level 1, I'm done.
So in 2014, yourself, Merck, Study, and Nameless placed second at COD Champs. Do you remember...
Let's answer 2 questions.
wait. Don't worry. So, now, do you remember the maps you played in the losers bracket final versus Optic? Now, don't forget you did beat them. But do you remember the maps you played?
I know we played Warhawk Blitz twice because we tied it. We played Sovereign Dom was the last map because I remember teabagging Clayster. That was a good one. Oh my god! Like he was pretty mad. So the match I think he said something earlier in the match. He said, "I'm smarter than you, Rambo," or something like that. Or he said something. He basically crapped on me before the game started. So again, this is the times where you don't want to piss people off, friends. All right, if you're ever competing, don't talk smack before the fact, okay? Because if you lose, things don't go well and you get mad. But yeah, there's like actually it's kind of crazy. The camera angle showed us like fist bumping and like shaking hands.
Yeah.
And he looked at me. He's like, "I'm not shaking your hand." I'm like,
remember
"Come on."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, I did." Like so.
Yeah.
All right. Sovereign Dom, Warhawk Blitz. We played. Oh yeah, we got shit on Freight Dom was the first map. I remember getting shanked by Scumpy like fucking 10 times. And we're missing the search, right? What was the search?
So what did you say the first map was?
So Freight Dom was the first map.
Yeah.
The second map had to be Search, which I don't remember. Warhawk Blitz and then Sovereign Dom. What was the Search?
So you've got everything right so far. We're just missing the Search.
Yeah. 1 sec. I got to think about this. Well, no, TP wasn't on that team. Who was on that team? It was Scump, Clay.
I can drop you a clue.
Nate Shot. No, wait, give me a sec. I'm trying to see if this comes back to me.
Don't check the chat. Do not.
No, I'm not. I'll look away because I have the chat up, but I'll look away. So Freight, where did this name is? Freight, Sovereign, Warhawk, Octane. It's probably Octane. Octane Search.
Yeah, it is. It's Octane.
Because Nate Shot love that, man. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Well done. You got it. You're 1 for 2 on trivia. I'm impressed. Okay, so when and why did the decision to coach happen? I mean, you were clearly an extremely talented player, right? With an impressive history. You've got this impeccable strategic mind. Did you personally feel it was kind of time to step back from competing, or were there other factors in your life that were impeding your ability to focus on COD as a whole?
So, I mean, just to kind of, I'll give you a little line because I haven't competed for 6 years.
Yeah.
So I was working at Sledgehammer Games, which basically the timeline went from Black Ops or Ghost Champs. We get second 2 weeks after they dropped me off the team for Parasite, which I was completely against.
Yeah.
I did I had proven that I didn't mind getting dropped by a player that was better than me.
Yeah.
For example, like Scump joined the team for 2 weeks earlier in the year, which I was like, I'll coach with Scump on the team. Like this is give me a percentage of the winnings and I'm totally fine with it. Like this is great. The team's better with Scump.
Yeah.
But then he left and then some of the players didn't want to play with me again. So me and Merck started playing and picked up Game of Study, so on and so forth. We get second at Champs like 2 months after we started playing together. They want me off the team or they leave for another team because we got second and I played terrible in the finals. So it's like, okay, well, shit. Like it kind of made me realize like I can't like the only players that I really that I felt I was gonna be able to compete at a high level with, I wasn't able to play with. Like Big Timer had quit, Scumpy was on Optic, which I probably going to get back on, and then Merc just was on the team I was on. Those are kind of like the players that like I can run my like system, quote unquote, with those guys. So
Yeah.
it felt like I wasn't able to compete. So like I didn't really look for another team after. I was just like, all right, let's see what goes. And then Jay Puryear, a person who works at Treyarch and Activision, one of the leading people in making COD esports happen. Big props to him and shout out to my guy Jay Puryear. But he hit me up and he's like, hey, there's this new studio that's going to make Call of Duty and they want you to work for them. Like, oh, well, let's check it out. I went to Sledgehammer for 4 months. It was on a trial basis. Like basically, I mean, I'm a pro gamer, right? I have no idea what's in game development, and they have no idea if I can bring anything.
Yeah.
And then again, I don't have no idea if I'm going to like it. So it was like a trial period, 4 months pass. Things are great. I like it. They hire me, so on and so forth. 5 years pass, and then they announced franchising for Call of Duty. And then Hastro and a few other teams kind of started talking to me about the potential of like, hey, would you be interested in coming to work for us? Things are getting serious. Like there's actual contracts. There's real money now. There's a lot of investors, so on and so forth. So I've always again, I'm a super competitive person. I always liked it. I very much liked the job I had at Sledgehammer. The main issue for that out there wasn't the job, was really the place of life. Like the Bay Area, for anyone who knows San Francisco, that area is just extremely expensive to live in. Yeah. And me and the fiance had kind of goals to buy a house and have a kid, and we felt like it was basically never going to happen there. I mean, like you're basically poor if you make like low six figures out there. Like that's how crazy it is.
Yeah, yeah.
I was paying like $2,100 a month for a studio, which is I mean it's insane.
Yeah.
So again, the offer happens. I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. This makes sense. So at the original time, we were talking about just the GM thing, but then I was like, you know what? Like if I want to get back into it, I really want to kind of get the hang of the players and really kind of get back in the process of knowing and seeing the game for what it is, and really kind of getting my connections on the player front kind of back in. So, I mean, when I played, I was a coach technically. Like I was a player coach. Like I was. Have you seen the movie Semi-Pro with Will Ferrell? Like the basketball movie?
I haven't. No.
Okay, you got to watch that because I was like Jackie Moon when I played. I was like the marketing guy, the manager, the player, the coach, and the cheerleader all at once. But yeah, so it's like it never like COD come kind of instinctively to me. I see things and they make sense.
Yeah.
So I never really felt like it was going to be that hard to get back in. I was a little worried at the start, but I got it really quickly, and then that coaching just seemed like an easy thing for me to do and really kind of get back into it. So it was kind of a no-brainer when I heard about the offer they gave me and like where to move, like moving to Dallas. I like this area, and it's been really cool so far and really an easy transition. And then I'm actually excited for a new Call of Duty game to drop because I kind of started late this year, so I missed a lot of kind of a few things, but I'm excited to kind of see the process of the whole year starting from the start and see how I can make the team better from the get-go.
Yeah. I mean, based off going back those 6 years compared to now, and obviously stepping back into a role where you're overseeing COD, does it feel there's been some clear changes in just the basic outlook, kind of play style of the game, for example?
So the speed is probably the thing that changed the most, and the positional kind of play is not as obvious as it once was. Okay. Granted, it's like somewhat obvious to the pro players because they know when certain things happen, but like from an audience standpoint, it's kind of hard to catch. Yeah. Like the best way I can describe it is like back then when you played Respawn, it was almost like playing like Search. Like if I get kills at if I get a 2 or 3 piece, I'm going to get an objective done no matter what because there's a respawn timer. The maps are a lot bigger. There's a lot more space to be kind of. So it was more like a battle of a battle of kind of getting position on the map and really pushing while you get kills. Yeah. In a smart way, really making sure that you are influencing those spawns perfectly, so that when you do get kills, because the kills don't come like a good kill game back then in Respawn was like 20 kills. You get 20 kills in a time, like, oh, you're fine, bro. You're killing them fools. Yeah. And now you get 50, you're like, meh, he got 50. We've seen that a few times this year. And the games are even shorter now than they were then. So so that's probably like the biggest thing I can tell you that's changed. Like for the most part, the 5-on-5 has also kind of changed the dynamic a little bit, but like now it's like a battle of attrition. It's like, where can I put myself to spawn in a position where I can attack the hill more than they're attacking it because we're just going to be closer. Yeah. Like for hardpoint. And then for like Dom, it's kind of, Dom hasn't really changed that much. And then Search is just really the extra player has changed things a little bit, but Search has always been Search. I don't think Search has changed at all. Just like the game from game to game changes Search because of like smokes and perks and weaponry and whatnot and how fast the time to kill is. So in the maps. So that's, but no, it's really not that different. It's just like the pace is really kind of like the main thing that if I were to compete again, I would have an extremely hard time doing it because my forte was really kind of understanding and be able to kind of manage my thoughts and know exactly where someone is after I kill a player because he came from this location.
Yeah.
So that kind of takes out this position. So I got to look here, so on and so forth. Like that barely happens. That just happened here and there anymore, but like it barely happens. Like when you spawn back then, I had like 4 or 5 decisions to make. I spawn now, it's like, oh, all right, I'm going here because this is the place. That's where I got to go. I got to go here. That's where my teams are going. Let's go. It's just like,
yeah.
Like you're just holding the forward on the analog. That's about it. So it's
that's why
it's very different.
That's why everyone's analog's fried, because that's all you do now.
Yeah. It's crazy how they like the whole like ATS, the automatic tax sprint thing, to me was like, bro, that probably saved so many controllers.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And they wanted that crap out.
Yeah, but I broke like I say broke. I haven't broken them, but like 3 controllers this year already have just stopped working. The analogs are completely fried. So yeah, right. I mean, it's pretty common, right, for super talented players to miss out on competing in the biggest events due to things like age restriction and so on. But for yourself, you came across an unusual barrier in the form of nationality. So Canadians, amongst other certain regions, were not allowed to compete in events like COD XP, and I think it was the GameStop 10K as well, maybe. Did this affect your... Did this
like bringing all the negative stuff, man. You're just bringing all the bad memories and just pulling them right back. You're like, here, let's put them on history. Oh, yeah. Your Black Ops 2 champs? Yeah, that was great.
Well, I promise we'll end it well, don't worry. I mean, did this affect your drive at all? Because I'm guessing there may have been a sense of uncertainty that this might have always been an issue.
Yeah, so it's interesting because things weren't formalized for gaming and like the gambling kind of crossover when I first started, it was never an issue. I mean, technically, if like let's say I started competing, I don't know, 5 years. Let's say everything was like 5 years later and all those laws started before, I probably wouldn't be here today because it would have been basically impossible for me to really kind of test out the waters and see if I had a future in it. At the time I started competing, we were playing online events for like Pro Circuit ladders that led into one tournament at the end of the year, the national championship, and I was able to play because there wasn't any laws that prohibited me from playing.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was not a shock. It was very annoying to deal with.
Yeah.
It never really affected my will to play. There was ways around it. Like I lived in Montreal, which is like 2 hours east of Ottawa. And the provincial border because I was in Quebec, which is a province, like a state or whatever, like a location in Canada where it was like the boundaries of the law were in that province.
Yeah.
So basically, whenever the Modern Warfare 3 COD XP happened that I wasn't able to compete in because of where I lived, it was obvious that if I heard there was another event for that, I would just moved. Like, I mean, it wasn't a big, I was like 20 at the time. Like, it wasn't a big move. It was just like driving 2 hours west. My parents gets me an apartment. That's what ended up happening.
Yeah.
And this is when the whole kind of me getting drop off optic because of where I lived, whole scheme. I'm going to call it a scheme because it's not true.
Yeah.
Hex said it in his podcast.
Yeah.
He said, was it the fucking, what's the name of his podcast? I keep, not Overcast, Eavesdrop podcast. Yeah. So he said it. He said, Red Bull is why you got dropped. Like straight up. So everyone out there that's still wondering that shit out. Yeah. I knew it. I was like, fuck those guys, man. But yeah, no. So basically the Black Ops 2 came out. I was on the team for 2 weeks and then this Frat Cup tournament started. And then they were like, oh, well, all those restrictions came in and I wasn't able to play. So the team, I was like, okay, well, let's just pick up someone for this event, like temporarily, and I'll move and then I'll be able to play for the rest of the year. But then Nate Shaw came along and then that's when the whole thing happened. And then there was some certain process of the Red Bull sponsorship kind of being transferred on the team. Like it was I think it was Enable in Halo for Status Quo that had happened. And a few other players got kind of the rep as well, which is something that, I mean, for the time it was really exciting, right? Because like, you got a big sponsorship that's coming in that's spending money. Like, of course, if I was in your shoes, I would have done the same goddamn thing. I'm excited. Like, that's cool. And then the whole optic house and everything like that would have never happened with me. Like, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, Nate Shaw had the YouTube audience to really kind of make it grow and all that stuff. Like, that blew Den, Call of Duty, and optic out of the water. Like, 100%. Yeah. So it was a good decision. But on my end, it sucked ass, right? So whenever that happened, I'm like, okay, well, I got to find another team and I got this temporary team for one event. We played UMG Chicago. It was Roughnecks. It was me, Clayster, Parasite, and Jake. Intake. We played an event. We got like top 6, and then I joined Envy. And then as soon as they announced COD Champs for that year, I was like, yeah, I got to fucking move. And then I did that and ended up being okay to play.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Hastro, as we did a little earlier, he made an announcement just a few hours ago, right? That he'll be stepping down from the CEO position at MV to a role known as Chief Gaming Officer, meaning he'll be more team and player focused, along with being more kind of fan facing, with more spare time, and ultimately getting to spend more time with family. Was this a surprise to you, or was it something you guys were kind of aware of? And not only that, but what does it mean knowing that Hastro will now more than likely be more present in his support of Dallas?
Hastro has done a lot to grow his business, and he's done a lot on the business front, and he's one of the more like invaluable person to a business in the esports world. Like he's a very smart, intelligent human being. He's been around forever. He knows this shit.
Yeah.
For like he's paid his dues, right? Like he's like it's almost like you, let's say anyone who take you take a player, like Hastro was a player, like for those who don't know that Hastro played way early.
Yeah.
I actually beat him to win that tournament in LA or Anaheim, the first ever tournament I competed, because he filled in shoes of a player who couldn't attend. But yeah, no, it's the business aspect of it is great and all, but it's not as enjoyable, and it's so time consuming.
I can imagine.
And for like being the CEO of a company is no short task. Like you're on constant phone calls, you're dealing with multiple people, you have to overview so many things, and like you don't really get the gaming. Like it's like I don't know exactly, and this is me speculating, but like I'm assuming he didn't really get the gaming aspect of it anymore, right? Like, and that's like kind of what he explained in his video. That's kind of his roots. Like he loves the games and he likes to interact with the players. Like that's who he is as a person, and like it makes total sense what he did. Like it, like I mean, we're like us on our team, all of us are excited. I'm excited. I'll probably get to play some video games with the guy. I'll probably get to hang more with the guy, and he'll be more and more hands on with the team. And it's like it's going to be great for I think for every team that's in the NV org to kind of have that aspect of it, and he has a lot of knowledge and whatnot. So it's like he's not. It's not like he's gone. Like he's just moving into a role that to me is makes more sense for him.
That's exactly how I took the video. It's not that he's going anywhere. I just think that he's now going to be more readily available to the people within his organisation that are parts of teams and more forward facing, which is great. So I think he's going to have a very positive effect on the likes of Dallas too. Do you know what I mean? I think like you said, he's an older figure in the scene with a lot of knowledge. So what's not to love? Have you watched the movie Inception?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well this is Ramboception. Are you ready? So.
Oh god.
You've gone from playing with the likes of Scump to playing against Scump and Claystar on Ghosts to now coaching your previous rival in Claystar to beat one of your previous rivals in Scump. What's it been like watching the likes of these huge personalities grow over the years, and what's it like coaching somebody who was previously a competitor to you? I mean, like you said, just with the comments made by Claystar pre-game years back or this time ago. What's it like now being someone that kind of helps him with his gameplay?
So I've always had I guess respect is probably the word I'm looking for. Like I had very few players in the community that I disliked.
Yeah.
I'm fucking Canadian for God's sake. Like we don't hate anyone. We just love things, Just give us the maple syrup and we're good to go. Yeah. So it's really to a point where like there's very few players. I don't think there's any players that are in the pro league right now that would have an issues with coaching wise, or talking to whatnot. Like there's a lot of people that are easy to work with. Some are a little harder to work with, but like I never even though Clay and I had like some beef in game, like we were always cool out of game. Like there's never a point in time where me and him weren't cool together.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Krim. I never really spoke to Krim that much back then. We were competitors, and he probably didn't respect me as a player for what my skill, like for his, probably mine was probably pretty bad. Yeah. Which sure, at a certain point when we competed against each other, I was getting my ass kicked.
Yeah.
But it's really to a point where like I've built a reputation for myself, and I've also learned a lot from the years that I worked at Sledgehammer about how to handle communications with people, because I was a very hard person to work with when I played. Like I was very direct, I was very blunt. I would never really beat around the bush, I guess you could say. Like if I wanted something done on the map and I told you to do it, you fucking do it, or I'm gonna fucking yell at you. And that was kind of like I was very dry, I guess. I wasn't really and I've learned a lot how to like talk to people and be more positive and not necessarily like just constantly point out negatives. So I feel like I'm a much easier person to work with now. So on the front of like, it's crazy to think about that I'm like coaching players that I played with and against back then, because it's I mean I wish I was still playing to a certain extent. But yeah, no, it's just cool to be back in it, and really like my dynamic with the players I think is pretty good. I found kind of a good spot to be in where I'm not too influential to what's going on, but I'm putting my 2 cents, and I'm really just driving discussion is really kind of the main point I'm having, is like instead of just telling like, oh, you should be doing this, is more like, oh, well, this happened. Do we feel like maybe something else should be happening on our end? And then I'll let the players kind of figure it out, and if anything happens, kind of arbitrate discussion, I guess you could say. But no, it's a little weird, but it's cool. I mean, I just like that some of the guys are still playing, and clearly like Clay and Krim have a lot. I feel like have at least 2 or 3 or 4 more years in them. Like they're still very great players, and they don't seem to be backing down at any point.
Yeah, it's good to hear. Rambo Trivia Part 3. Right.
Okay.
Do you know your total earnings from COD to the nearest dollar?
Hell no. We had the discussion earlier, and it's talking about how money was like totally not the importance. I mean, there's no to the dollar. I mean, I got second at Champs, right? So that's probably like 50, and I probably made like, I don't know, like maybe like documented earnings probably like 25. So like I'm gonna say like 126.5. 126K.
You're pretty close. You're very close, actually. It's 129.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. That's pretty good.
$129,088. Yeah.
Of prize money. Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. Back then, I was like, I mean, I'd want to see that leaderboard when that started. Like, whenever I compete, that's probably like top 10. And you're like, you're looking at it now, you're like, who's that guy? And honestly, that's probably what sucked the most about being like working in the shadows, because like I wasn't really able to be like the outspoken community person that I was in the past. Like I was one of the leaders in social media when I would compete and whatnot, and I would love talking and like helping people out, speaking my knowledge, and really kind of being kind of a part of the leads and like really making sure like everything's on point for what we're doing, whether it was rules or like making sure that everyone's kind of comporting themselves the right way. Like I would call people out left and right, even if I didn't know them or they weren't on my team. I'd be like, dude, just chill. Like you're not, and people would respect me in that way back then, because I was like kind of like higher up, I guess you could say. But yeah, no, like that's probably what sucked the most about working in the shadows. I didn't get to do that for like 5 years. So a lot of people have no idea who the fuck I am now. And it's like, who's Rambo? Like, he's 30 years old. Oh, I guess aged. Oh, he's 31 now. Oh God. So it's just, it's kind of crazy, like being out of it and coming back, but it's cool. I think I'm making my way slowly back into people's mind, and it was always fun to kind of hear a shout out whenever they would always say my name on certain things. During the streams, and like the casters would call me out, so that was fun.
Yeah. Well, moving on. I mean, obviously talking about your history. You had some time with Merc, right? And you and Merc have this long history together. A very successful one at that too. Hypothetically speaking, if Maven stepped away from casting as his duo, would you ever take up the spot if it was offered?
It wouldn't make sense. It would make more sense for me to replace Merc, because Merc's the knowledge guy. Like Merc has gotten really, like those guys are really good at what they do, man. It's incredible. And I have issues with speech. Like I'm French Canadian. My French is my first language, so I have like small speech impediments, and sometimes I can't spit everything out.
Okay.
So like, I don't think. I mean, I would love, like, I would be better as an analyst, like doing what Nameless is doing, and like really kind of dictating, like just kind of like speaking of what's happening.
Yeah.
Because I did cast a few times back then. Like they would just ask me to come talk on the stream, and I would just end up casting a map or two. And like I casted this famous moment. There was the UMG Chicago Black Ops 2 event where Nate Shot pushed Aches, or no, Aches pushed Nate Shot, and I would cast it. I was like, oh, he pushed him. And Nate Shot was like, let's go. You pushed me. You guys see that? I was like, oh, dude, it was like literally the corniest moment you ever seen. It was like while the gears community were like literally fist fighting in a parking lot, we were just there pushing each other on the street and calling us all.
See, in the UK, you just get bottled. It wouldn't go well. Yeah, I can imagine.
You know, that's the wildest thing, bro. The one thing that we were not ready for going to UK is the shit talking level and the screaming and being in your face.
Oh, bro.
Like people would just get up over their monitors and be like, "Yes, suck, you little shit." And your mom, she's a beautiful person. And you're like, I'm just gonna shit on you in this video game. And it was wild, dude. We were not ready for that. Like, in the States, for the most, it's crazy.
February, just gone London. Like, I don't know. There was a clip of me going around the internet. Cheen tweeted it. It was me rubbing my nipples. Like, I stood up in the middle of the crowd. I stood up behind Nameless's shoulder as he was doing a bit of analyst, and like it was perfect because I left like a big gap next to his shoulder like this, and I just stood up, and you can see me on the screen. I rub my nipples, and like everyone's just fucking dying. But they made the mistake twice, because the thing is, they put the camera on him once, and like when you're looking up, I saw my head. I was like, oh shit, that's me. Yeah. So like I stood up, and like the crowd was chanting "fuck off, Nameless." So I stood up. I was like, "Fuck off, Nameless," in the camera. I was drunk. Dude. Yeah, I know.
Like, come on.
Bro.
That dude, there's one thing I'll say, dude. That London event, like someone do a crowd, like you guys get it. I love the atmosphere and the excitement,
Yeah.
but there's a certain level that's just too much. And like you guys cross the line whoa many times. Man.
Yeah, bro. When
dude, oh Shotzi, little 18-year-old kid, nicest kid you'll ever meet. On stage you're like, go back to Halo. Go back to like this kid's here shit on the world, bro. Why are you going back to another game? I felt so bad for him. I was like, come on,
bro,
man.
if you get like 6-7 points in the average male in the UK, that's it. Everything is game. That's it. Oh, I just lost it. There we go. Yeah, it was £11, I believe, for a 2-point pitcher.
Which is I'm sure it's absurd.
It's pretty absurd. I think it's like it probably work out to about $14 for two points of beer. But yeah, I mean, in the UK, like we do have like this. It's the football heritage, right? Like that's where it comes from. That's where it's believed to come from. Is our chanting and our like kind of whole like vibe. Right. It all kind of derives from football and years of loving football.
But it's not that bad at a football game, is it? Like you guys don't like call out the players like you do. It's that bad. Bro, oh my god,
bro! You should go to some soccer games in the UK for real. Yeah, I mean the stuff stuff that was said at London is just a warm up. That's just getting the vocal cords warm. Trust me, that's nothing.
That's brutal.
Yeah, for real. Honestly, it's bad. But yeah, I mean, they put the camera on me that one time, and they saw me do that. Fuck off, nameless. I was drunk, bro. I was drunk by this point. And they, yeah, like you know, and they put the camera back on me. So I was like, damn, you're gonna pay for it. So I just like stood up and just started rubbing my nipples. And Chino like clipped it and tweeted it. It was like, this London crowd is wild. But yeah, like there's definitely a thing about just UK and like us as a crowd. It definitely derives from football. It's the only it's the only thing I can imagine it derives from. Yeah, like another seed just mentioned in the chat, one of the big points was like shouting pedo to Rich Campbell just because he's got a mustache. Yeah, so yeah, that's how it can be. So moving on, obviously coaching as a whole, how difficult was it for you to adjust coming back? I mean, I'm assuming you've always had these basic instincts as a player that you've kind of had ingrained in you for a long time of playing COD. I mean, I'm assuming even when you were away for 6 years, you probably still played the game for an enjoyment sense, whether competing or not. Was it difficult to fight back instincts that were natural to you as a player, but were ultimately negative maybe in a coaching role? What would you say was your biggest learning curve as a coach?
Honestly, it was just like figuring out the best way to reach out to the players in a way that they're going to kind of be able to take it in and be on board with what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Again, like I think they were scared that I was going to be the way when I played. I didn't really understand like that when I was behind the scenes, I learned a lot about communications and just kind of treating people a little bit, not more respect, but like better, like just really appreciating what they have to say and really taking it into account rather than just having my own opinion and just blabbing it out and that's all be all. And that was kind of like if anything I was going to fear is I'd be like that, but like again, like it's not who I am anymore. So so that was really cool for me to kind of feel like I felt like that was going to be my biggest hurdle, and that wasn't even end up being a hurdle at all. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, I was a little worried about kind of the understanding because I was like starting behind, right? So I had to catch up with the game. As much as I watched some of the competitive stuff before I joined, I wasn't really like paying attention, right? Like, like if you pay me to do something, I'm going to really pay attention to it. But if I'm just watching casually, I'm like, I see things, but I'm not really caring. Like I want to see who wins, but so yeah, that was kind of like the learning curve. So I mean, as soon as I started getting paid, as soon as they hired me, I started I think I was watching VOD for like 6-7 hours a day of just literally watching the game and just really grasping and understanding and trying to put my own spin on like how things can improve. And then I joined the team about 2 weeks before the LA event, and I started like kind of giving my 2 cents. Not really like I felt like I wanted to start slow. Like it was 2 weeks before tournaments. I didn't want to just throw everything out the board and what they knew what to do. But I had like my certain elements of like we're doing this on the map, but this team's been doing this, and it seems like there's a median where we can get better at doing this. Also for like a specific spawn point we're trying to hold on a hill. Trying to grow the meta with them basically was kind of the mentality. So I helped a little bit there, and then after the event, I started kind of being more thorough about it and spending time in scrims and really kind of capturing VOD and like showing them and be like, this happened when this happened. We need to do this and that, and then agree and disagree. So like, yeah, my biggest fear was just like how I'm going to be as a person and how they're going to treat me as a person and how we're going to handle things. And it's been pretty good so far. We've had a few bumps, but for the most part, it's been really smooth, I'd say. A lot smoother than I thought it would be.
That's good to hear. At least you're having a good time with it. What do you feel are kind of the key ingredients to being a successful coach? I mean, I can imagine that it takes some real persistence, right, and patience at times, along with being able to adapt to different personalities. I mean, you know, there's a varying personality kind of spread on the Dallas roster. Do you think it takes a lot of patience and persistence to make the necessary changes?
I mean, it's especially how fast this game is. It's actually hard, like for players to really adapt to certain things you're teaching or you're really trying to preach.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like I think the most important thing of a coach is to have the players respect.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're a nobody and you go in and like they want you to coach, like they're gonna make you do simple things, but they're really like you're not really coaching. You're there really like you're almost there like as an assistant, I guess you can say.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like that's probably the hardest thing to gain, and the only way to gain that is really proving yourself out to the players, I guess, which I've done like with my previous kind of accomplishments and accolades. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think the hardest date again, the hardest thing as a coach is watching him compete, bro. That's fucking stressful. You have dude, that is, oh my God, dude. I never like understood like how moms like it's literally being a mom watching your kids play a sport, I think.
Yeah.
Like I think that's legit how it feels. Because I have zero impact over what's going on. Like I'm there, I'll talk in between maps, like I'll give my spiel and like trying to make them remember like some things that we worked on to really make sure that they're on the same page. Try and keep driving discussion, like get them amped up at the right level and then be on my way. But then after that, from start to finish, I got no impact on what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it, I'm like, please get this kill, please this kill. Why no, don't like I could don't do no. Okay, yeah, get that. Yeah. Oh, 3 piece, let's go, baby. But like it's just crazy. Like it's just a fucking roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah. Nubsy was saying the exact same thing. Joey Nubsy was saying like it is way more stressful to coach than it ever was to play because you 100%. Can sit and watch and you have no control. That's it. Whatever happens, happens. And he was saying the same thing. He's like, no, don't do that. No, don't do that. No. And he's like, it just starts to spiral. And, you know, that feeling of you thinking you cannot do a thing about it. You just have to watch.
But the great thing about it is when, like, I mean, there's good and bad. But, like, when they lose, it felt like you lost. Like, I feel involved in the team. Like, I feel a part of the team. So, like, when they win, I literally felt like I was there with them. Yeah. Like, because I fucking lived through all that stress, I better have my fucking live with them moment. So, like, when we won the LA event, like, that dude, that was ecstatic. Like, I haven't been excited about winning anything in a long time. Yeah. At that event. And I was just kind of sharing that moment with the players and, like, just kind of feeling like a family and everything like that. And I was just there for 2 weeks. Like, that, it was absolutely incredible. So, like, and that's probably one of the cool things. The coolest thing about coaching is like really kind of you're there with the highs and the lows, and you feel involved and kind of part of the whole kind of growth of the team and how they compete. But watching sucks.
I can imagine. Was there ever any media or books that you used early on within coaching to develop your own skills? I mean, maybe like a sports coach or mental coach that you were inspired by?
I really didn't. Like this is my secret to being good at things. Like we talked about, I was good at a lot of like small things and shit. Yeah. It's visual, bro. It's like you're trying to like, you see something, you try and understand why that thing works that way. And if it works good, then you do it. And if it works bad, you try and understand why it doesn't work bad. And then you try and implement the goods of the goods over the bad. So like for anything I've done in life, like bowling, golf, soccer, whatever, like everything I've done, video games, it's always been about watching and learning and understanding what's going on and then treating it into my own play and being able to kind of put it into fruition, like not just knowing about it, but being able to implement it and do it myself. So like when I first started competing, I was watching like there were streams and people playing and I would like play a lot myself, but then I would have, as soon as I got a recording tool, I would watch my own gameplay more so than anything else. Like it sounds crazy. Yeah. Like I could like, but it's like, and you can tell this to everyone, like go record your gameplay, go watch it and like try and analyze it. Like it's not going to come, like not everyone's going to be able to do what I did to it. Like maybe that's just something I got instinctively that I was born with. Yeah. But like my ability to visually see something and react and understand and mold something I want to do off of it is pretty good. And that's one thing. Like I'm a little like shout out to myself. But during the off season, I'm going to do coaching lessons and I'm going to sit and I'm going to literally teach someone how to watch their own gameplay. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do and what. I'm going to sit there and like question you on what you're doing and you're going to tell me why you did it. Yeah. And then I'm going to help you understand why you're going to do it and what's the way of doing it better because of what you saw.
Yeah,
And that's
100%.
literally like, that's the secret to being good at things in life, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, learn from your mistakes, not just say you're going to learn from mistakes. Like, if you fucking do it something 10 times, it doesn't work, it's not going to work the 11th time.
Yeah.
And I was good at really kind of not really needing to do something two or three times. I would do it once, analyze it, understand it, and know what to do from there. And if it was good, great, do it again. If it wasn't, then change your way and then try and change your perspective on how to do it better next.
Yeah. I agree. I think it helps as well, like encouraging players to take accountability for their own play styles, right, and the way they are playing, because ultimately the more understanding they have of their own play and the way they need to play, the easier your job becomes, because there's less of that kind of almost things to pick from, because they're more clued up on what it is they need to fix. The more kind of insight you give them into their own gameplay, I suppose, and the more open they are to what they're seeing in their own, when they watch it back, it makes your job a lot easier.
Yeah, and that's the thing as a coach that I've kind of segmented myself from this year, is not really kind of like, the only individual work I've done with players is their decision making. I will never tell, I don't think I'm ever going to put myself in a position where I'm going to tell a player to do this and that because he has this gun and you shoot this attachment and so on and so forth. Like, those guys are pro players. Like if someone would have told me to use certain things when I competed, like, fuck that, bro. Who are you to tell me that? Like, there's no way. Like, I don't, unless I play the game as much as they do, like maybe the next game I'll play a lot early. I'll be like, maybe notice certain things.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be a little different. But like, even then, I don't think I would. Like, it's just a matter of like, my role is to make sure the team is molded in the best way possible to where their understanding of what they need to do on the map at every single moment in time is known.
Yeah.
They see a situation, they know how to react to it, they make X play, then it's all their individual skill and their communication lines on how they want to accomplish it. And that's really where I have come in to try and help the most. Yeah. And where I feel like I've done a good job so far. And that's, to me, that's like the most important thing, because those are the things they don't want to worry themselves about, right? Because they have their own play, they have their own decisions. And if they worry about that too much, which is what Clay and Krim were doing for most of the year, like, I mean, crap, Shotzi's never really played Respawn and kind of brand new in competitive COD. Illy's been playing Search and Destroy tournaments forever, not really getting Respawn. Like, they've literally had to teach those kids brand new things about a game at a fucking professional level, which is insane. Like, the fact that those guys are actually good and know what the hell they're doing and then dropping like really good kills and having really good success is insane that fast.
Yeah.
But like Clay and Krim are like really to be attributed for most of that success.
Yeah.
And again, it's just like, it's a matter of like, I don't want those guys to worry about those things too much. I want them to discuss it, but I don't want them to, I don't want them to bring it up. I want to be that person for them so they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. I mean, Shotzi obviously has seen an incredible turnaround versus the start of the year, right? What has it taken from a coaching position to get him to the point he's at now?
So the biggest change happened, I think it was a week before I joined, actually. They changed his role play. He was running trophy, and they took the trophy off the game Dead Silence, which some of the roles in this game are extremely hard to play, and the decisions you have to make around the things you are using affect how you can understand and better play the game.
Yeah.
The routes you can take if you're a trophy player are not as great as the routes you can take if you're a sub, like a Dead Silence player, because you get sound horde, you need to put your trophy in a position where your team needs it, so on and so forth. So it's not so much the kind of like, he learned a lot from playing trophy, but like, I feel like his growth and understanding of the game grew incredibly a lot more when he was able to kind of freely run around and figure things out for himself.
Yeah.
And it's just hard to be a trophy player, man. Like, respect to those guys who do it well and drop good KDs doing that, because you're so restricted in certain things you can and can't do. For an AR player, it's not so bad because they end up kind of posting up for the most part. But for a sub player who has to go to the hill a lot, like, that's tough because you're forced to run into bad situations nonstop. And that's kind of what he was doing at the start of the year. So like, not only was he kind of behind on decision making, but he was forced to make decisions that probably aren't really coming naturally to him.
Yeah.
So it's just really hard for him to kind of be at that skill level that he is now. He's an incredible talent. Like our three young guns like Hugh, Shotzi, and Illy are like amazing players and just have incredible like individual skill. It's madness.
Yeah.
And once like they're still learning, they're still growing as players. Like, once they get to a point where like they reach like the veteran status, and they like, the moment they reach their peak of knowledge while still having the skill they have now is going to be scary as fuck for the opposition.
I can imagine.
It's going to be scary, dude.
Yeah. Do you think there's some rings to come?
Well, I hope so. That'd be nice. I want a ring, bro. I don't have my ring yet. Give me a fucking ring, all right?
Right. I mean, what is the one thing that you do as a coach that you feel goes unintentionally underappreciated?
Everything. I rarely get thank yous. I mean, again, it's like I'm not looking for praise.
Yeah.
It's not something that drives me. What drives me is I like being able to point things out and then working, and then that makes me feel good about what I do.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I like being right about something and like stating it in a way that went through to them, and then them as players implementing and really kind of understanding the situation. That what makes me happy as a coach. Like,
yeah,
and then them succeeding and actually doing it in actual matches makes me even happier.
yeah.
But yeah, no, like I don't know if the other coaches get a lot of praise. I would assume they don't. Like pro players typically in the past, at least for Call of Duty, don't necessarily give praise to a lot of things. Like if a player makes a sick play on that, they'll give praise to that, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not. It hasn't really been a praiseful job this year, you can say. But no, I don't feel like I'm underappreciated because of it. Like they've like multiple times, some of the players like talk to me personally, and they say they like what I do and whatnot. So like it's nice to have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's
awesome.
It's not all roses and peaches.
Yeah. Right, Rambo trivia. Okay.
Oh God.
So we're moving on to the next bit. What are you?
What am I?
Did
I get two?
No,
am I 1 for 2?
I mean, you were $3,000 off, so technically not.
Oh, bro! Damn.
Right, so we're 1 for 3. Now this one's actually completely unrelated to COD. So, seeing as you enjoy golf, could you tell me who holds the all-time record for most consecutive seasons with a win?
Most consecutive seasons with a win. Wow. I mean, that's gotta be an old player.
It is.
Yeah. Sam Snead?
No. Take a few guesses.
I mean, no, what was that other guy? I think he's from Dallas too. He's from the area. It's God, you're gonna say the name, I'm gonna hate myself because I know, like, I love golf and I follow professional golf like it's my religion. I mean, it's not Jack Nicklaus. It's not Arnold Palmer. It's Arnold.
It's
really
Palmer.
Arnold.
It's Arnold Palmer.
I thought it was Really, I thought it was the other guy.
No, he holds the all-time record for most consecutive seasons with a win at 17, and he won them from 1955 till 1971.
That's crazy. Yeah. Arnold's a good guy.
Yeah,
R.I.P.
I think I'm going to give you that one, bro. That's 2 for 4. That's good.
All right, I appreciate it. All right, a little leniency. Not the $3,000 off when I've never really cared about my earnings.
So, thoughts around Champs being online this year. How difficult is it to kind of coach on an online platform in which there are so many variables to take into account?
It's not. I mean, it's from a coaching standpoint, it's not very different. Like my involvement with the players and how we talk and whatnot. There's really not much difference. The players have to deal with the most. The preparation on our end is like the same as we play online because we're playing on the same, or at least similar-ish playing field because of the 60 hertz and how. Oh my God. Like I don't know what I missed the 6 years I was gone, but this year from like a competitive like game standpoint has been kind of rough. And it's attributed to many things that kind of happen, and I don't really want to go in depth with it, but it's it's really not ideal. But yeah, no, it's like it sucks because it's no matter what happens online, you're gonna feel like you're at an advantage or a disadvantage over another team.
Yeah,
and because of where we're located and how things have been going, like we feel like we're at a disadvantage because we're all like 4 of us are looking in Central Texas, and then 1 of us is up north.
Yeah,
and most teams are either West Coast or mostly kind of scattered around like Central, North, and East Coast.
Yeah.
So it's not ideal because most of the servers we end up playing are like Chicago and Columbus. So we're pinging like 50 while the other team's pinging like between 30s and 40s. It's not a huge difference, but it's kind of enough to really keep that in the back of your mind. So it's not ideal, but I mean, obviously like with the COVID and all this shit going on in the world, like just the fact that we still have champs, people should be happy about it.
Yeah,
I lost my mind when I saw people like, oh, they should be postponing. Oh, we shouldn't even play. They should separate the money to next year. It's like, dude, like what?
Yeah.
Like, how does that even, like, what do you, okay, postpone it. When is COVID and shit going to end? Like, what? Yeah. It's probably going all the way through next year. I'm going to think at least halfway through at the very minimum. Yeah. You're going to play Modern Warfare Champs after the next game COD's release. Like, everyone's going to watch that. Everyone's going to be super excited about that. Like, no, dude, that's ridiculous.
I mean, these are my comments, but for me as a viewer, it's been painful to watch for the last, I don't think I could go I definitely couldn't go into next year watching this game. Opinions on GAs right now. I mean, obviously, meta changes 9 months into the game. I can only imagine from a coaching point of view that it takes pretty adaptive skills to be able to kind of iron out the cracks. Have the recent GAs had a serious effect on the way maps are played and the way players within the team now approach gunfights?
It's annoying. I'll say this. It's frustrating because it's not regulated. And yeah, it's I mean, I can't even imagine if people are competing this weekend because they literally fucking don't even know what they're playing yet. So
I literally tweeted this yesterday. I was
I
like,
I don't want to get into it. Let's just skip that.
Okay,
Let's
let's move on.
Yeah, no, I mean, from a standpoint when things change, we try and adapt as much as we can. But like similar to what I was talking about earlier about my involvement and what I control,
Yeah.
that's not something I worry myself with too much because it's really based on the players to really figure it out. I'll tell them I'll see what the other team's using and point it out if we're doing certain things that don't seem to be working out and it's not, and the other team's doing something that seems to be working for them. I'll point it out and then they either implement it or just ignore it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the basis of it. Like, there's not much to go into it. The whole discussion is just frustrating to me. And I, as an older player and like quote unquote pioneer player of the community, it fucking kills me inside how this shit's kind of happening.
Yeah, I can imagine. We'll move away from that subject. So, Champs is fast approaching, right? Obviously, with recent announcements that competitive integrity is a huge focus. So, hence the introductions of console, I believe. Is it console as well? I think it's console monitor and controller cameras, along with improvements to the integral infrastructure of the game, i.e. servers and so on. Do you feel this is a fair way to compete for over $4 million?
I mean, it's going to be like the mentality is that some players thought some players were doing certain things and then they pointed it out and then the league acted on making it like more regulated.
Yeah.
I mean, like who is there to trust? If there's any kind of way you can cheat or do anything like that, if you're playing for that much money and no one's really watching you do it, what's stopping from an asshole or a person to do it, right? So it's like I'm all for it. Like even if speculations are wrong, like I don't personally like think of anything, but like just knowing the fact that you know that you're on the same playing field, there's nothing they could have done, so on and so forth. At least on the base that we know, that something cheesy could be going on. At least it's nice to kind of have the mentality.
Yeah.
Because it's like as a competitor, if I have any kind of thought that you like, let's say me and you play a one-on-one, and I think you're cheating, like there's no way I'm beating you, even if you're not. Like I'm gonna put myself at like a mental disadvantage. Like that's a shitty place to be mentally. So like just the mentality, like the idea that they're trying to cover their grounds and make sure that things are regulated to me is a great thing.
Yeah.
Like even if there's no way players can cheat, it's just at least it tells you that they're caring about it. Yeah. And it'll make it more officialized to where like we know nothing's really going on.
Yeah. I mean, I personally said that I see Dallas being a top 3 team this year, you know? But I mean, with a huge chance of winning champs, in my opinion. What do you feel the Dallas roster possesses trait-wise that put them kind of a cut above some of the other rosters in comparison?
When we're on, our communications are probably the best communications in the entire league. When things are going our way and we're reacting to things the way we should be reacting to, like our comms are really clean, and that's probably the most important thing about this game because of all the variables and small things that can change. Like small talk is like probably out of at least, again, I've missed a good amount through the last couple of years, but based on the pace of this game and the amount of like weird, like people call it weird spawns, but like let's call it weird game mechanics.
Yeah.
You have to adapt to a lot on the go. And the only way to adapt properly as a team is to communicate how you're trying to adapt.
Yeah.
So like if you listen to some of the comms on some other teams are really hectic, like you can barely understand what some of the words are saying. And the only way to really be consistent in a world where things aren't consistent is to be able to communicate what you're trying to accomplish. So I feel like that's our biggest trait as a team. Obviously our skill level and whatnot is on top, if not on par with everyone else in the league.
Yeah.
Our veteran, our leadership, our emotional state, like we're just a really good well-rounded team.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if I were to like just from, I don't hear the communications nonstop of all the other teams, but I listen whenever I watch, I listen to the listen-ins, and just based on what I've heard so far, it seems like our comms are what really separates us on the kind of a team front. And
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, Dallas Insight. So we're going to move into kind of questions around some of the guys in the team. I'm going to hit you with some quick fire ones, and then I'm going to also do some team trivia with you, okay? So this is just some Dallas Insight for us as viewers. So who has the worst diet?
Who has the worst diet on the team?
Yeah.
That's got I mean, it's definitely Shotzi or Illy, 100%. Like, I mean, I feel like, Illy, when he's home, his parents cook him for a lot. But when Illy's on his own, like when Illy was in Dallas, I'm pretty sure Illy had the worst diet on team.
Okay. Who has the worst taste in music?
Oh, I don't exactly know what Kyler, what Hugh. I know what Clay listens to. I'm into that stuff. I don't really know what Porter. Like I don't really know the kinds of music of all those. Like again, I haven't like because of how the years went. Like I haven't really spent that much time like personally with those guys just yet. So it's kind of hard to tell. But yeah, no, I wouldn't know. I'm gonna say Porter just because I want to be annoying to him because he was annoying me on a different podcast.
Most likely to simp over their other half or a lady.
What do you mean by that?
So, kind of. Oh, come on, bro. You've seen the term.
I do. I'm Canadian, bro. The terminology is very different. Yeah.
So, you know, like a white knight, like someone that just completely sucks up to a woman just because they have an attraction to her. But I mean, like, super sucks up, like, runs to their defense in any corner of the world over anything at all. That, you know, could be the simplest thing of someone disagreeing with them or, you know, yeah, just, it's like a real white knight. I can't believe you've read the phrase. Wow.
No, I never heard it before. Yeah, no. I wouldn't know, honestly. Again, I mean, like, it's definitely not like Krim. I mean, Clay's been with his girlfriend for a while, and then Krim's been with his fiance. I think Shotzi's had a girlfriend for a while as well.
Yeah. Which one of them is like the most, let's say, obedient to the other half?
Obedient?
Yeah.
To the other half?
Yeah.
I think Krim's pretty whipped. I think Krim comes off as a tough dude, but like he's a softie, man. He's a softie. He loves his lady too, so I mean, nothing but love for them.
Yeah. Right, who's the hype man? Who brings the hype to every scrim, no matter what?
Clay, 100%.
Awesome.
Clay's like the emotional roller coaster of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Like Clay loves him. Clay's probably like in a good way. He's probably the most emotional person I've ever met.
Yeah.
Like standalone. Like he's just like I don't know what. He's crazy. I love him.
Who has the worst hygiene?
Oof. I don't know. I can't share that. That's not
difficult one. Okay.
That's not I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know, but that's not.
Yeah. Well, Nubsy just shut his straight. He was like Octane. I'm telling you now, bro. Octane. He was like
because he lives with him too.
Yeah. He was like this guy. Yeah. This guy will take a shit and never wash his hands.
Oh, that's rough. I'm never touching him again.
Right. Who has the best sneaker collection?
Who has a lot of shoes on the team? Man, like it's. I'll come back in the show in a year and ask me these questions again because it's just so hard to.
Okay, who's the funniest?
Who's the funniest? I'd say I mean Porter's funny in like a corny way. Like he'll just crack jokes left and right.
Yeah.
I think honestly, like I think everyone's funny on the team besides Shotzi's like a more serious dude.
Yeah.
He loves to laugh, but he'll never really crack that many jokes.
Yeah.
Like he'll always laugh along with it, but yeah, I think everyone's had their moments of like funniness.
Got you.
But I'd say probably Krim. Krim probably stands out as like the jokester. He's the clown.
Yeah. Right, Dallas trivia time. Okay. So I've got some tweets and questions from the guys, around the guys and from the guys on the team. By the way, it's all active members on the starting five. So this is a tweet here. Just know that I'm 6'4", 215 pounds, fully tatted, and I will slap the fuck out of you.
Wait, what was this? Someone tweeted that?
This is a tweet, yeah.
From one of my teammates?
Just know that I'm 6'4" and 215 pounds, fully tatted, and I will slap the fuck out of you.
That's gotta be Krim.
No.
It's Krim or Illy.
No.
What?
Yeah.
Clay?
Yeah.
Clay tweeted that? Oh my God.
2019, he tweeted that, yeah.
Can you retweet that? Can you retweet that?
Yeah, I'll find it and retweet it for you, no problem.
Yeah. Please link me. I'm gonna add him. Be like, what?
Right, I've got another tweet here. It goes like this: Day 2 at the gym. What the hell do I do?
Day 2. That's gotta be Porter.
Yeah,
that's gotta be.
Yeah. That was Porter 2015. I've got another one here.
That's a good one. I love that.
This tweet goes: back, chest, abs, legs, and arms, and especially shoulders are coming in nicely. But too bad your boy has still got them man titties though.
It's got to be Illy.
Nope.
No? Oh, no, Kyler.
No.
Hugh. Not Hugh?
No.
What? Krim again?
Yeah. In the same year. So he went from what the hell do I do to everything's coming in nicely, but I've still got tits. Another tweet here. Random thought, but I really hope my man titties don't show in our new jerseys.
Oh my god, Illy?
Nope.
Illy's always, dude. Like, these guys crack so many fat jokes on our team. It's not even funny, dude. It's bad. Okay, I mean, Crim again then?
Yep.
Yeah, it had to be because Crim's. Oh, dude, that's rough.
If you type in Crim6 and titties into Twitter, bro, you will have you'll have a field day. I promise. You'll have a field day. I've got a question for you here. So, which member of the team has an olive tattooed on their arm?
Has an olive tattoo? Oh, that's Clay because of his dog.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Which member of the roster has the highest earnings from Halo, Hugh or Shotzi?
It's got to be Shotzi because he won the world tournament like recently.
True. You know, it's actually a lot closer than you think, though.
He's won a lot. Like, he's won, but it's just been peppered like small amounts here and there.
Hugh's won 180k and Shotzi's won 211.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Fuck me, dude.
I know.
Why wasn't I born like 10 years later or something?
Well, if you were, you'd have struggled because Canada's got some pretty strict laws. Yeah.
Good call. Good call.
Do you know where Hugh is ranked in his country for esports earnings?
Well, it's America, right?
No.
He's got to be number one.
No.
No?
Second.
In this country?
He's second.
What's the
Saudi Arabian nationality, isn't it?
Yeah, who leads that?
So
the StarCraft player?
MS Dasari, the FIFA pro.
Oh, a FIFA player. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Those guys make a lot of money. I didn't know that.
Oh, bro. Huge money.
I knew there's a lot, but I didn't think it was. That's crazy.
Yeah. Dasari's been competing for some years, and I think he's been a world champion twice. So he's made a lot of bank.
That's crazy.
Which Dallas member disrespected a British delicacy in Nando's by eating it with 2 forks?
It's illy, 100%.
Yes.
My man never used a knife until I showed him a steak. I have to show him how to hold a knife. Oh my god.
Oh.
18 years old, folks. I love the guy though.
I was watching watching Dallas content. I remember watching that, and it was in February when you guys when they got to London, and they went for a Nando's, and Illy's at the table with 2 forks doing this, pulling chicken apart. I was like, what the fuck am I watching? What the fuck are you doing to our chicken? I just couldn't believe it, bro. I had to pause the video so quick. Closed it.
Shout out to Nando's, though. Shout out to Nando's.
Yeah.
So good.
Right, got some Twitter questions for you. So Brick YMY asks, out of all the titles that you haven't competed in, which one do you wish you had the chance to?
World War II.
Why?
I feel that's the game I would have had the most impact and the game I would have had the best chance to win.
Okay.
And I think it was my style of game.
Yeah. And was that from like a strategic point of view, like looking at the game and just kind of...
Yeah, just like the game being the pace it was basically was just kind of more my kind of style.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Skylar Johnson, Envy founder, asks, how much do you miss competing?
Fuck, Skylar, I love Skylar. It's very segmented. Like my missing of practicing, 0. Like having to get on and play the game like 9 to 10 hours a day, dude. There's no way I'd be able to sustain doing that. Being in front of a crowd, playing on main stage, never not gonna miss that. There's no way possible. Like it's always gonna be like being in the spotlight is always gonna be something I miss.
Yeah.
But just again, like the long hours leading to practice, like I would have to immensely enjoy a Call of Duty game. Like let's say the new game comes out and it's my favorite game to date, then maybe like I would even think about like doing it because I just enjoy it doing it so much. But like I don't think there's any way, shape, or form I have the mental aspect to kind of be able to put myself to that kind of I guess like daily struggle of playing a game all the time. Like it's too much. I've just grown to enjoy so many other things in life that I just don't think it would make sense for me to like give everything else up for that. Because it really is like for people who don't understand, being a pro gamer is not just a job, dude. It's a life. Like it's a life, literally a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. You have to be you have to be doing your craft nonstop. Even when you're not playing, you're thinking about it. Yeah. So it's tough. It's not as easy as everyone thinks.
No, I can imagine. Fames asks, what players would you pick to team with who you hadn't previously? And you can select from both past and present players, but he also wants to know your reasoning why.
Okay, players that I haven't. So if we're creating a team of 5 of players, I think that I hadn't teamed. So the only players on my team that I team were Clayster. So Shotzi, Illy. Honestly, probably all 4 players on my team, because I never got to team with Krim. I'd probably team with all those guys.
Yeah.
And then because I got to replace Leo, I would probably say Octane.
Okay.
Octane, Sam seems like a guy I would get along with.
He doesn't wash his hands. So.
I wouldn't touch him. I would touch the controller. I wouldn't fist bump him. Like we would high five, he'd be like this little it was like this wavy thing. Looks super weird.
Just the corona bump, yeah. Just a bit of elbows.
Sam's good people do. I love Sam.
Yeah,
so
he is. Yeah.
I think that would be the squad I go with, because I mean honestly like being a part of the team I am now and seeing how they work, and like that's my kind of like system. Like these guys are avidly getting on. They want to get better. They're never like shutting things out and just saying, "Oh, we're just going to play today." Like they don't do that. Like they get on with a purpose, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah. And finally, Ricardo asks, if you could pick a team to win champs with players only from the bottom 4 teams in the CDL, who would it be?
So I'm basically making a team with the bottom 4 teams.
Yeah.
Let me look at the bottom 4 teams. I got to look at the standings.
Bottom 4: LAG, Toronto. I'm trying to remember who else. Seattle, and LAG, Toronto, Seattle, and there's one more.
What's that? Standings. All right, it's LAG. It's Paris, Toronto, Seattle, Gorillas.
Yeah.
All right, I would take Octane 100%. I would take Vivid from the Gorillas. I would take Cammy, and actually I'll probably take 3 players from Ultra. Ultra's like, dude, it's a fucking it's a puzzle to me how this team hasn't like they just can't put it together when tournament time comes up. Yeah, there's got to be a player on that team that just shuts off under pressure or something.
Yeah.
Like it's got to be. So because I got Octane, so I wouldn't have methods, and then so Cammy, that Kleenex guy is fucking nasty.
Kleenex is disgusting. Yeah.
Cammy, Kleenex, and then who's the other sub on that team again?
Toronto is the 10-man roster, right? I had Marky B on this week because we were talking about it.
Right.
I'm trying to remember who else there was. There was Classic. Yeah, Classic. That's one.
I wouldn't put Classic on my team for trying to win champs. I love Classic. All right.
Bance.
Yeah, Bance is the other player. Yeah. All right. Let's say I'm taking Canny, Kleenex, Octane, Vivid, and I take one player. I got to go for someone for another team. Who's on Seattle? Oh, I'd probably take Apathy.
Yeah.
Apathy's been there. He knows how to win.
Yeah.
That'd probably be my roster. That'd be my squad right there.
Awesome.
Just fucking put Octane in the spot. Like, let him slay the world. We got this.
I mean, he's got the ability, right? He's fucking nasty. So, yeah.
You know, it's crazy. And this is something like Clay's constantly having, we're having discussions about, is how much his involvement as because Florida's had recent success, and then Sky's literally plays like a turret. Like this guy barely moves.
Yeah,
he's super slow. And for the most part, from when we've seen this game, it seems like the AR needs to be in the mix. They need to be part of certain engagements. They need to change the positions.
Yeah.
But he's kind of proven that, that team's proven recently that it's not necessary. You can have a player play super slow like this. Granted, in my opinion, it probably puts a lot of pressure on his submachine guns to have a good game.
Yeah.
Because if they're not creating a space on the map for him to sit there and wait, then nothing's going to really come to him. He's going to have a hard time. But it's shown some success, and they have won 2 tournaments. So, it's interesting to think about. But, again, that's one thing with Seattle, in my opinion, that, Octane gets a ton of kills on the map. I don't know exactly how much he moves or how much they're kind of focusing on his play to really open up things up. But there needs to be a balance with that team, I think. Again, there's so many – it's crazy. Even fucking Optic Gaming LA, you look at that roster, you're how the fuck is this team not winning games?
I agree.
How's this team getting real by, bottom teams? It's insane. I don't get it.
I agree. My final question for you is, obviously you've always had this, since a young age, a love for bowling, right? You were a professional bowler. I've got a question, interestingly. This is from Excellency. So I'm going to close out.
All right.
I'm going to close out with it. Is your bowling nickname Rambo?
What a corny ass one. I miss Nick, dude. It's not Rambo. It is not. People just call me Ray.
Okay. And
Goddamn vampires, man.
And that answer there brings us to the end of the podcast. Listen, thanks a lot for joining me, Ray. It's not every day I get to talk to a vet, you know what I mean? Especially with a mind as intricate as yours. Is there anything you want to say before we close off, or?
Oh, man, I appreciate everyone following, and I appreciate you having me on the podcast. You're a really cool dude. I really hope we meet each other in person. I'm sure we will someday when this whole fucking world gets back into place.
Yeah.
It's madness. Everyone wear a mask. God damn it. It's crazy, but I want to rant for a second, but it's mind-boggling how there's so many simple things we can do to try and help prevent. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
People with a mask can still get it, but it helps. It's if everyone did their own little part in the world, we wouldn't be in this fucking situation right now, or at least it wouldn't. But there's some people that are just careless and just don't care, and they're like, I want to live my life. But yeah, but then I don't know.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah, shout out to my team. Shout out to Hastro for getting me on, the whole Empire Envy organization. Shout out to the office we have. If you guys haven't seen our office, it's fucking sick, and I can't wait to go back in there and work every day. We just installed this. Well, so you should you should talk to Hastro. You should talk to Hex. Hex should buy you a flight to come with us next time. There's gonna be a Dallas event at some point in time.
Yeah.
And all those guys live here, obviously. So we should get you out here, and we can show you around and have a good time. And then you should be on his podcast in a year from now because he's gonna blow up.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen. But yeah, no, we have a fucking, I don't know how big it is. It's 120 foot or whatever, a solid LED screen, and it's absolutely sick, dude. I can't wait to watch shit from that.
Wow.
That's dope. Yeah.
That sounds fun. Right.
All right, don't take your time. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm sure we'll do it again.
Awesome. Indeed. Right, make sure you guys head over to Spotify. Don't forget to go and follow Ramboray on Twitter and the Dallas Empire to keep up to date with everything that's going on with the roster that he's coaching. If you guys have tuned in late, head over to Spotify, search the Bakery Podcast. It will be live on there in the next 20 minutes. And don't forget to tune in Monday at 7 p.m. when we witness the Bakery meeting its first FIFA Pro Manchester City player Shells. Until then, guys,